Chapter 2449. Stop! By the side, that middle-aged man roared loudly, his body rushing out explosively, grabbing towards Lu Ming with a claw. A terrifying power crushed over towards Lu Ming. Very clearly, this person was a heavenly Emperor Realm powerhouse. Lu Ming's expression changed, flinging Aoluan out with a fling. His body retreated wildly, avoiding the middle-aged man's attack. Sixth uncle, teach him a lesson for me. Teach him a ruthless lesson for me. Aoluan stabilized his figure and roared loudly. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Ming and said, "Little brother looks young, but your cultivation is so profound. Truly admirable. I'm also eager to see a prey. How about little brother accompany me for a few moves?" "Who?" Lu Ming smiled coldly. Beating the young one, the old one came out. He only displayed the power of the fleshy body just now. The realm that he displayed was peak Great Emperor, while the middle-aged man was a heavenly emperor. Although he was a one-star heavenly emperor, he was also far above peak Great Emperor. Now, he actually asked Lu Ming to exchange a few moves with him. This was clearly bullying. However, just a one-star heavenly emperor, why would Lu Ming be afraid? A hint of an inexplicable smile appeared at the corners of Lu Ming's mouth, and he said with a nod, "All right, Senior's invitation. How can Junior dare to refuse?" Agreed? The middle-aged man, as well as those two old men, were all taken aback. They originally even thought that Lu Ming would not dare to accept the challenge, and then retreat in the face of difficulties, taking the initiative to give up on entering the Dragon Marrow pool. They did not expect that Lu Ming actually agreed. A trace of cold light flashed across in the depths of the middle-aged man's eyes. Then he would seize this opportunity and teach Lu Ming a good lesson. Lu Ming was someone that ancestral dragon took a fancy on. He naturally did not dare to have killing intent towards Lu Ming, but there was no harm in teaching him a lesson a little. "Haha, little brother is really heroic. Then pay attention." The middle-aged man smiled and suddenly took a step forward. His body rushed towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Then, he clawed at Lu Ming. He had already used 80% of his strength in this attack. He was confident that he could defeat a peak Great Emperor easily. Boom! Lu Ming also threw a punch at the middle-aged man. He actually dares to take it head-on. What a hothead! The middle-aged man felt disdain in his heart. A peak Great Emperor actually dared to clash head-on with a heavenly emperor. What was it if not foolish? Bang! Their attacks collided. At this moment, Lu Ming's fist emitted a dazzling purple-gold radiance. The Tao of Sovereign. In the instant that the two of them collided, Lu Ming erupted with the Tao of a Sovereign. The middle-aged man's expression instantly changed. His eyeballs almost popped out from their sockets as he wore an astounded expression. At this moment, he felt an incomparably horrifying power surge towards him. At the critical moment, he unleashed his full strength, but it was already too late. With an intense rumble, the middle-aged man's body was like a broken sack, flying out horizontally. He flew out 1,000 miles before stabilizing his figure. A mouthful of fresh blood sprayed out, and one of his arms was already bent out of shape. What? By the side, Aoluan, as well as the two old men, were all stunned. One move. Lu Ming actually only used one move and sent the middle-aged man flying out horizontally, vomiting blood from his mouth. The middle-aged man was a heavenly emperor. The few people's minds could not wrap around it all of a sudden. Lu Ming was not surprised in the slightest. Him erupting with the power of sovereign right now was sufficient to suppress and even kill a one-star heavenly emperor. And just now, the middle-aged man was naturally not Lu Ming's match due to his carelessness. Roar! The middle-aged man roared angrily, his body transforming into a true dragon. Vast dragon pressure spread out, pouncing towards Lu Ming. He did not believe that if he erupted with his full strength, he still could not take down Lu Ming. Lu Ming's cultivation was clearly just Great Emperor realm. The enormous dragon body instantly pounced above Lu Ming's head, really looking for a thrashing. Lu Ming opened his mouth coldly, his entire body shrouded in purple gold light, akin to a divine spirit that ruled the world. Swoosh! He turned into a purple gold light and rushed towards the other party. At the same time, The purple gold light condensed into a long spear. This was a long spear condensed with the Tao of Sovereign. It was sturdy and immortal, indestructible. Bang! Lu Ming's spear lashed out. This spear did not just have the power of the Tao of Sovereign, it also had the power of the fleshy body. The middle-aged man roared angrily, the dragon horns on his dragon head emitting a resplendent light, bursting forth with two beams of divine light, slashing towards Lu Ming like heavenly blades. At the same time, his dragon claws continuously grabbed out, converging into a golden dragon claw, grabbing towards Lu Ming. Several attacks burst out at the same time. The middle-aged man had already used all his strength. However, when his attack collided with Lu Ming's long spear, his expression changed. His attacks collapsed continuously. Lu Ming's long spear destroyed his attacks like breaking rotten wood and whipped towards him. The middle-aged man's dragon body shrank rapidly, and he frantically retreated, but he could not avoid Lu Ming's attack at all. Lu Ming's long spear struck his waist. The middle-aged man screamed as his body was sent flying tens of thousands of miles away, smashing into a barren mountain, smoke and dust filling the air. Hiss! Aolwan and the two old men gasped. This time, the middle-aged man could be said to have used all his strength, but he was still sent flying by Lu Ming's spear. It was a complete suppression. Where did this young man come from? His strength was too shocking. After a long while, they finally reacted. It's just a spar. You're too heavy-handed. One of the old men said coldly. He's not dead. Lu Ming curled his lips, not taking it seriously. You, the old man's face was somewhat gloomy. Enough. At this moment, a voice sounded. It was the voice of the ancestral dragon, coming from the palace. Following that, a figure appeared in the air. This figure was not a physical body, but a projection of the ancestral dragon. Greetings, ancestor. Aolwan and the two old men's expressions changed as they stood up and bowed. Lu Ming is someone I have my eyes on. Do you have any objections to my decision? The ancestral dragon glanced at Aolwan and the two old men. The expressions of the three changed drastically as they hurriedly lowered their heads and said, We dare not. We dare not. Then are you doubting my judgment? The ancestral dragon said again. No, ancestor, definitely not. Ancestor's judgment is like a torch. The two old men hurriedly said. Aolwan did not dare to say anything. If Lu Ming was really a trash, for the sake of the dragon marrow pool, he would have to fight for it no matter what. But now, the strength that Lu Ming displayed was seriously too shocking. Not to mention, even a heavenly emperor was insta-killed by Lu Ming. It was too terrifying. Let me tell you guys, Lu Ming has cultivated for less than 200 years until now. The ancestral dragon said again. What? Less than 200 years? With this, Aolwan and the two old men were almost frightened to death. They would never doubt that the ancestral dragon would use this to lie to them. Heavens, cultivating for less than 200 years and could crush a heavenly emperor. What kind of monster was this? There was actually such a person in the world? No wonder the ancestral dragon chose Lu Ming and let him enter the dragon marrow pool. Now, Aolwan was docile, not daring to let out a fart. Chapter 2450. Lu Ming? Lu Ming? Could he be the Lu Ming who was hailed as the #1 prodigy of the younger generation in the Heaven world and Yuan world? The one who became an emperor with many laws? One of the old men whispered. Suddenly, his expression changed as he recalled something. That's right. Ancestral Gragon nodded. It's him. It's actually him. Aolwan and the two old men were shocked. If you have no objections, you may leave. Ancestral Gragon waved his hand. Yes. The two old men and Aolwan bowed and retreated, flying tens of thousands of miles away. They helped the middle-aged man up and left quickly. Lu Ming, come with me. Ancestral Gragon smiled faintly, then turned and flew to the right. Lu Ming touched his nose and smiled bitterly. He guessed that Ancestral Gragon already knew about the previous situation, but deliberately did not show up. He wanted to let Lu Ming take action, let Lu Ming show his strength, so that Aolwan and the others would not be convinced. Following Ancestral Gragon, they circled around and came to a valley. The entrance of the valley was covered by a layer of light. Obviously, there was a grand formation sealing this place. Ancestral Gragon waved his hand, and the grand formation opened. Lu Ming walked in. There was a vortex in the valley. Lu Ming, go in. Behind the vortex is the dragon marrow pool. There is the essence of the dragon marrow that is naturally born between heaven and earth. It only opens once every 10,000 years. If you absorb the essence of the dragon marrow pool, it will be enough to bring your physical body one step closer to the heavenly emperor realm. Ancestral Gragon said, "It can let my physical body break through to the heavenly emperor realm?" Lu Ming was shocked. This was incredible. His 7 divine mystic art was now at the late stage of the 5th level. If he wanted to cultivate to the 6th level, he would need top-notch treasures. Even if Lu Ming was extremely talented, it would be difficult for him to break through without thousands of years of cultivation. Now, he could rely on the dragon marrow pool to break through. It could be seen how valuable the dragon marrow pool was. No wonder Ao Luan wanted to find trouble with Lu Ming. "Thank you, Senior." Lu Ming solemnly bowed to the ancestral dragon. "You don't have to thank me. The situation is urgent. Although Saint Ancestor Sha Xian is still alive, Emoku will find a way to help him recover. Also, that place is about to open. You are the only variable now. You must improve your strength as soon as possible." Ancestral Dragon said, his eyes filled with worry. "That place is about to open? The only variable?" Lu Ming was puzzled. What does this mean? Also, what did the foreign race's divine ancestor mean by splitting open the sky? Lu Ming realized that as his cultivation increased, he knew more and more, but there were also more and more things that he didn't know. There seemed to be many secrets in this world that he did not understand. However, Ancestral Gragon was clearly unwilling to say more. He said, "Go in." "Yes." Lu Ming nodded, then stepped forward and entered the vortex. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared in a strange place. This was an underground cave. It was very wide. The moment Lu Ming entered, he heard waves of dragon roars. Lu Ming looked around the underground cave and saw an extremely strange scene. The walls of the cave were covered with dragon-shaped markings. These markings did not look like they had been artificially carved. Instead, they looked more like they were naturally formed. They were vivid and lifelike. Also, there were some spiritual herbs and sacred herbs growing around the cave. They were all in the shape of dragons, like small true dragons that crawled everywhere. In the middle of the cave, there was a small pool with some golden liquid inside. Waves of dragon roars were coming from the pool. Lu Ming took a look and discovered that there were 9 golden true dragons swimming in the pool. No, they were not true dragons. They were condensed from energy, and the essence that permeated the air was extremely rich. Amazing, really amazing. The dragon marrow pool is formed naturally. Nature is really amazing. Lu Ming sighed. Then, he took off his clothes and entered the dragon marrow pool. He sat cross-legged. The water of the dragon marrow pool was just above Lu Ming's head. As soon as Lu Ming entered the dragon marrow pool, the pool water turned into small true dragons and desperately drilled into Lu Ming's body. Immediately, Lu Ming began to circulate the 7 gods' mysterious art and began to absorb the energy in the dragon marrow pool to refine his body. The energy in the dragon marrow pool was absorbed by Lu Ming and seeped into Lu Ming's every cell. Lu Ming's body was rapidly improving. It was at least a few hundred times faster than usual. Lu Ming cultivated wholeheartedly, forgetting everything. He forgot about time. He cast everything aside and focused on cultivation. Time flew by. Day by day, month by month, passed. The water in the dragon marrow pool was also slowly decreasing. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. Roar! Suddenly, a dragon roar came from Lu Ming's body. Following that, a series of bone-trembling sounds came from his body. The trembling sounds became stronger and stronger. The aura on Lu Ming's body also became stronger and stronger. Bang! In the end, it formed a large explosion. A horrifying aura pervaded inside the cave. Heavenly Emperor. This was the pressure of a heavenly emperor. Lu Ming finally broke through, breaking through to the 6th level of the 7 gods' mysterious art. Lu Ming's physical strength completely reached the Heavenly Emperor realm. Now, Lu Ming could suppress ordinary one-star Heavenly Emperors just by relying on the power of the physical body. Adding in the power of the Tao of Sovereign, Lu Ming's strength skyrocketed again. Following that, Lu Ming continued to cultivate for 2 months, consolidating his cultivation a little before ending cultivation. Huff. Lu Ming let out a long breath. His lungs puffed and a dragon roar emitted from his throat. Dragons and I are really fated. Lu Ming smiled, then got up, sensing the situation within his body. His entire body was filled with the power to destroy heaven and earth. Furthermore, blood energy surged like a great river, surging to the extreme. Heavenly Emperor realm. Cultivating for more than 100 years, Lu Ming finally stepped into the Heavenly Emperor realm. However, it was the Tao of body cultivation that took the lead. Don't know how long has passed. Lu Ming muttered, then left this place. When he walked out of the vortex, light and shadow flashed in the air. Ancestral Dragon's projection appeared. Looks like you broke through. Ancestral Dragon said with a slight smile. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists, then asked, Senior, I wonder how long I've been cultivating. 3 years. Ancestral Dragon said. 3 years, is it? Lu Ming muttered. Do you want to leave very much? Go on. If there's anything, I'll find you. Ancestral Dragon said. Yes. Lu Ming nodded. He was indeed anxious to return home. He wanted to go back and see how the situation was now. Immediately, Lu Ming followed Ancestral Dragon and left this place. Then, Lu Ming went to Xinfeng and Xinxiang. After bidding farewell to the two, Lu Ming came to an ancient city nearby, took the teleportation formation, and left the lair of Zulong. After leaving the lair of Zulong, Lu Ming appeared in the north of Taiching Sky Domain. Then, Lu Ming took another teleportation formation and headed to Two World City. Chapter 2451. Upon returning to Two World City, Lu Ming immediately went to Hong Yu Celestial Emperor. Lu Ming. Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu was pleasantly surprised to see Lu Ming. More than 100 years ago, Lu Ming was captured by the foreign races. Many people thought that Lu Ming was most likely dead. He never thought that Lu Ming would suddenly appear in Two World City after more than 100 years. Lu Ming, how did you come back? Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu was so excited that his voice was trembling. Lu Ming was quite touched. He briefly recounted what had happened over the past few years. Saint Ancestor Sha Xin, foreign races Saint Ancestor, Ancestral Dragon. Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu was incomparably shocked as if he was digesting this information. In the heaven world, there were many heavenly emperors who did not know of the Ancestral Dragon's existence. Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu was one of them. Now that he knew so many secrets, he naturally needed to digest them. Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu was shocked. He did not expect that Lu Ming had experienced so much in the evil god world. It could be said to be magnificent. Lu Ming, you broke through to the Heavenly Emperor realm? Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu sized up Lu Ming and felt that the vitality in Lu Ming's body was shocking. He could not help but widen his eyes. My physical body broke through. Fortunately, I received Senior Ancestral Dragon's help. Otherwise, it would take at least 1,000 years. Lu Ming said, Good, good, good. Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu said a few words. Senior, what's the situation now? Lu Ming asked. 3 years ago, a large number of experts suddenly appeared in our heaven world. They came to Two World City and another battlefield to participate in the war. They claimed to be from the hell-suppressing world. It seems like they came from the evil god world with you. With the addition of the experts from the hell-suppressing world, our heaven world's combat power increased greatly. In these few years, for some reason, the foreign races have holed up and did not take the initiative to fight. They became defensive. In these few years, we have been sending people out of the city to kill the foreign races camp on the other side of the battlefield. There is still a large army attacking over there. Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu explained. The foreign races became defensive? Lu Ming was slightly taken aback. Logically speaking, even with the addition of the prison suppression realm, the overall strength of the heaven realm was still inferior to the foreign races. The outsiders wouldn't go so far as to hide and defend. Could it be that the foreign races are conserving their strength and waiting for Saint Ancestor Sha Xian to recover before launching an all-out attack? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat as he thought of this possibility. His expression turned serious. This was the most likely possibility. Lu Ming, some of your friends are also following the army to attack the outsiders. They want to capture an important member of the outsiders and get information about you. Celestial Emperor Hong Yu said. My friend. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It was very likely to be Dandan, Bubbles, and the others. Senior, I'll go take a look. Lu Ming said. Yes, be careful. Come with me. After he finished speaking, he flew towards the city wall. Is that Lu Ming? Nest, who did I see? Lu Ming? Wasn't Lu Ming captured by the foreign races? Why is he here? Could it be that everything is just a rumor? Along the way, those who saw Lu Ming were stunned and tongue-tied. More than 100 years ago, Lu Ming was captured by the foreign races and caused a huge commotion in the Grand Pure Heaven domain. Lu Ming's talent was too high and many people had high hopes for him. Who would have thought that he would be captured by the foreign races? That was a huge loss. Many people thought that Lu Ming had been captured by the foreign races for more than 100 years. Who would have thought that Lu Ming would appear in Two World City? Arriving at the city wall, Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu ordered someone to open the array, and Lu Ming flew out. After flying out of Two World City, Lu Ming immediately burst out and flew towards the opposite side of the battlefield. His speed was so fast that the void kept exploding. So fast, those who saw Lu Ming's speed were dumbfounded. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming disappeared from everyone's sight. With Lu Ming's current speed, it was too fast. Not long after, an endless army camp appeared in front of him. At this time, there was a great battle going on. On the heavenly world side, they took the initiative to attack the foreign races camp. Both sides fought very fiercely. At this time, one of the foreign races camps was attacked by the heavenly world's army. The commander of this heavenly world's army was Dandan. Dandan's cultivation back then had reached the peak Great Emperor realm. After more than 100 years of cultivation, Dandan had successfully broken through and reached the heavenly emperor realm. Following Dandan were Bubble, Huangling, Long Chun, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others. After more than 100 years, everyone's cultivation had improved greatly. Most of them had stepped into the true emperor realm. In addition, there were other experts from the heavenly world. Kill! Dandan roared and turned into a giant tortoise to fight a heavenly emperor of the foreign races. The two of them fought very fiercely. However, it was obvious that Dandan was stronger. The other party was completely suppressed by Dandan. There's a foreign race prince in this camp. We must capture him and ask for Lu Ming's whereabouts. We can even exchange him for Lu Ming. Dandan transmitted to everyone. When Lu Ming was captured, the other party had shouted that they could not harm Lu Ming's life. Therefore, they still had hope that he was still alive. Bubble and the others launched a fierce attack. Bubble's cultivation had also stepped into the Great Emperor realm and had reached the 3-star Great Emperor realm. Now, Bubble had mastered the Grand Tao and was even more proficient in the use of time and space. Her figure flickered, and a large number of outsiders were imprisoned. Some of the weaker ones had their time reversed, and their cultivation base regressed to a time when they were even weaker. Then, they were easily killed. Even if they were great emperors, as long as their cultivation did not exceed Bubbles by too much, they would not be spared. In the depths of the camp, there was a purple-haired foreign race who was watching coldly. This person was actually someone that Lu Ming was familiar with, the foreign race Prince Emo Tianluo. Lu Ming's friend? Let's see how you will die. Emo Tianluo sneered and transmitted a message to the heavenly emperor who was fighting with Dandan. That heavenly emperor exchanged a few moves with Dandan before retreating. Retreat. Protect the prince. The foreign race heavenly emperor roared and retreated frantically. Want to leave? Stay. Dandan chased, but the other party's speed was fast too. He retreated to Emo Tianluo's side and brought Emo Tianluo to retreat. Dandan and the others chased and killed a large number of foreign races along the way. Stop! Suddenly, Dandan shouted for them to stop. Why aren't we continuing to chase? Someone was puzzled. It's better to be careful. The other party seems to be luring us here. If there is a trap, it will be troublesome. Let's retreat first. After all, Dandan had lived for a long time and was meticulous. The others nodded. Immediately, they did not continue to chase but retreated. In front, Luo also stopped and his eyes were cold. Not chasing? Pretty meticulous. But do you think this will be useful? Kill. Luo roared. Swish. Swish. Following Luo's roar, the ground suddenly exploded and figures flew out. All of them were foreign races. Among them, 2 of them had shockingly strong auras and were actually Heavenly Emperor experts. Chapter 2452. Let's go. Dandan's expression changed as he roared. Everyone quickly flew towards the back. Wanna leave? Don't even think about leaving today. Luo's expression was extremely malevolent. When he knew that these people were Lu Ming's friends, he had already planned to capture all of Lu Ming's friends in one fell swoop. In the evil god world, Lu Ming had made him lose face. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Chase after them and kill them. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. Luo roared. Kill. Those foreign races chased after Dandan and the rest in a frenzy. Their speed was shocking, especially the 3 Heavenly Emperors. They quickly closed the distance between them and Dandan and the rest. Although Dandan was a Heavenly Emperor, the rest weren't. Naturally, their speed couldn't be compared to the foreign race's Heavenly Emperors. Space-time, Bubbles transformed into his original form and his body became bigger. His body emitted a layer of strange light that enveloped everyone. Everyone felt their speed increase exponentially. At the same time, Dandan appeared behind the army and waved his hands. Countless runes spread out and entered the space. Huge tortoise shells appeared in the air and blocked in front of the foreign races. Break. The 3 foreign race Heavenly Emperors were the first to catch up and unleashed a terrifying attack. Although Dandan was strong, his cultivation was still at the 1-star Heavenly Emperor level. On the other hand, there were 3 of them, and one of them had reached the 2-star Heavenly Emperor level. Those who could cultivate to the Heavenly Emperor realm, which one was not a peerless prodigy. Wanting to jump ranks to battle was extremely difficult. Relying on Dandan's talent, she could at most suppress opponents of the same level. Wanting to jump ranks to battle was still impossible. He was fighting 1 against 3, and naturally wasn't a match for them. The tortoise shells that he condensed were constantly shattered. Dandan fought as he retreated. He continued to condense tortoise shells to buy time for Bubbles and the rest. Everyone was like a stream of light, cutting across the sky. Soon, they flew out for tens of thousands of miles. They came to another army camp. Here, the Heaven Realm army was also attacking the foreign races. Bubbles and the rest were overjoyed. Everyone, come and help us, Ouyang Wushuang roared. Among this Heaven Realm army, there were also Heavenly Emperor Realm powerhouses. Seeing this scene, they were just about to come over and help. However, one powerful expert after another suddenly flew out of the outsider camp. You want to rescue them? Dream on. Hold them back. Those pagan warriors didn't care about their lives, entangling the Heaven Realm's army. Both sides were locked in a fierce battle, and it was hard for them to spare any time to help. Ha ha ha, you want others to save you? Stop dreaming. The strength of my evil god tribe is stronger than yours. Do you understand? Defend yourself during this period of time. Don't think that we are afraid of you. Luo laughed loudly. And at this time, those 3 foreign race Heavenly Emperors had already broken through Dandan's attacks consecutively and were nearing Dandan. Don't think I'm afraid of you. Kill. Dandan was enraged. It opened its mouth and spat out a small pagoda. This small pagoda emitted a vast amount of pressure. Heavenly Tao soldiers. Back on the Void Sacred Island, Dandan had been given 4 Heavenly Tao soldiers. However, with Dandan's current cultivation, he could only control 1 Heavenly Tao soldier at most. It's a Heavenly Tao soldier. Scatter. The 3 foreign race Heavenly Emperors' expressions changed and they scattered. Bang. The Heavenly Tao soldier shook and rumbled forward. That 2-star Heavenly Emperor rushed over, brandishing a battle axe and colliding heavily with the Heavenly Tao soldier. With a violent tremor, the two-star heavenly emperor was forced back repeatedly. As for the small pagoda, it was also sent flying back. Dandan was a one-star heavenly emperor. When he controlled the heavenly Tao soldier, he could jump realms to fight against two-star heavenly emperors. Shua, Shua. At this time, the other two foreign race heavenly emperors rushed towards Bubble and the others. Dandan's expression changed. Bubble and the others didn't have any heavenly emperors. They weren't a match for the heavenly emperors. If the heavenly emperors rushed over, the consequences would be unimaginable. Dandan clenched his teeth and controlled the heavenly Tao soldier to attack those two heavenly emperors. Your opponent is me. That two-star heavenly emperor sneered and rushed over again, brandishing his battle axe, attacking Dandan. Dandan was helpless and could only control the heavenly Tao soldier to attack the other party. With Dandan's cultivation, even if he controlled the heavenly Tao soldier, he could at most resist a two-star heavenly emperor. He really couldn't stop the other two one-star heavenly emperors. Not good. You guys quickly run, scatter and run. Dandan roared. Now, if one could escape, it was one escape. Wanna leave? None of you can leave. A foreign race heavenly emperor sneered. His speed was very fast. In an instant, he caught up to Bubble and the others and slapped out a palm. Block it. In the army, an old man roared. He had the cultivation of a peak great emperor. He erupted with full strength and attacked that foreign race heavenly emperor. In addition, there were more than a dozen experts who also attacking that heavenly emperor together. These dozen experts were all high-level great emperors. They were the elites of this army. Bang! Both sides' attacks collided. However, a heavenly emperor was a heavenly emperor after all. Even if more than a dozen high-level great emperors joined forces, they were still far from being a match for a heavenly emperor. On the side of the heavenly realm, more than a dozen high-level great emperors' bodies shook violently. They vomited blood and were thrown back, especially a few of the weaker ones. Their bodies exploded, and they died on the spot. At this time, another foreign race heavenly emperor had already approached Bubble, Huang Ling, Long Qin, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others. Fight! Fight it out with him. Ouyang Wushuang, Long Chun, and the others' eyes turned red. Even if they died, they had to fight to the death. Whoosh! At this time, a purplish gold light flew over from afar. Fast, too fast. In the blink of an eye, the purplish gold light flew over. This was a purplish gold long spear. It was incomparably sharp and pierced towards that foreign race heavenly emperor. That foreign race heavenly emperor's face changed as he sensed danger. He roared and attacked with all his might, bombarding the purplish gold long spear. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. The purplish gold long spear exploded. That foreign race heavenly emperor's body shook violently as he retreated a few hundred miles. One of his palms was trembling non-stop, and blood flowed out from it. We're saved. Bubble, Ouyang Wushuang, Long Chun, and Huang Ling were overjoyed. It seemed like a senior from the heavenly realm had arrived. Who is it? The foreign race heavenly emperor roared. The person who will kill you. A cold voice was heard. Following that, a purplish gold light flashed, and a figure suddenly appeared from the void. Lu Ming? Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. When they saw the figure, Huang Ling, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others were stunned at first. Their faces were filled with disbelief, and then they were overjoyed. It was actually Lu Ming. They actually saw Lu Ming here. Wasn't Lu Ming captured and sent to the evil god world? Why would he appear here? They wanted to capture an important person from the other party to inquire about Lu Ming. All of this was too unexpected. Then, did Lu Ming save them just now? Thinking of this, they were even more shocked. That spear light just now had forced a heavenly emperor to retreat and injure him. Big brother Lu Ming. Bubble cried out in surprise. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, you brat. I knew you were fine. Ha ha ha. Chapter 24:53. Lu Ming glanced at everyone and found that everyone was fine. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Ming, it's you. Not far away, Emo Tianluo's eyes were incomparably cold, filled with malevolent killing intent as he stared at Lu Ming. After the battle of the Hell-Suppressing Realm, the entire Hell-Suppressing Realm disappeared. Mo Tianluo naturally knew that the people of Hell-Suppressing Realm had come to the Heaven Realm. Mo Tianluo, what a coincidence. I'll send you on your way today. Lu Ming said coldly. Ha ha ha, what big words. Kill him for me. Mo Tianluo shouted and ordered his subordinates to kill Lu Ming. Although Lu Ming's combat power was strong and could even suppress the first prince, there were a few heavenly emperors here. Today, he wanted Lu Ming to die here. Kill! Kill! The two one-star heavenly emperors shouted and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, be careful. Wang Ling and the rest couldn't help but exclaim. But Lu Ming's eyes were calm as a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. His body emitted purplish-gold light, condensing into a purplish-gold long spear. Buzz! His muscles vibrated as his body rushed towards one of the one-star heavenly emperors. His speed was extremely fast. Now that Lu Ming's physical body had broken through to the heavenly emperor realm, his muscles could vibrate billions of times in an instant. Wherever he passed, the void seemed to have turned into a black hole, shattering everything. Boom! The long spear swept out, sweeping towards that one-star heavenly emperor. When Lu Ming swept out with his spear, that foreign race heavenly emperor had an extremely terrifying feeling, as if he was going to be crushed by this spear. He roared hysterically and tried his best to erupt, wanting to block it, but it was all in vain. Bang! The foreign race heavenly emperor's body was like a sandbag, being smashed apart, exploding into tiny pieces and flying everywhere. Everyone's eyes couldn't help but widen. Not only were Dandan, Bubbles, Huangling, and the others shocked, but there was also a Heaven Realm army in the distance that was fighting with the foreign races. At this moment, they were also shocked to the extreme. That was a heavenly emperor. He was directly insta-killed by Lu Ming, exploding in the air. This kind of impact was seriously too strong. Mo Tianluo was even more dumbfounded. A few years ago, in the Fiend God world, Lu Ming had challenged the 10,000 years list. Although he was strong, he was only slightly stronger than the first prince. Although he was invincible among great emperors, there was still a gap between him and the heavenly emperor. But how long had it been? Lu Ming was already able to blow up a heavenly emperor with a single shot. This kind of combat strength was too terrifying. The increase was also too fast, causing him to be alarmed. At this point, the other outsider celestial emperor was nearly scared to death. When he came to his senses, he began to back away frantically. It's too late to leave now, Lu Ming said coldly. His muscles trembled as he shot forward. Within a few breaths of time, he had caught up to the outsider. Save me! The outsider celestial emperor roared as he charged towards the two-star heavenly emperor. He wanted the two-star heavenly emperor to save him. However, Dandan was controlling the heavenly Dao weapon with all his might, constantly attacking the other party, making it difficult for the other party to have a chance to help. And Lu Ming had already arrived. His spear swept out, enveloping a radius of 10,000 miles. The outsider celestial emperor was unable to dodge. He let out a roar of despair and fought back with all his might. But his cultivation was only a one-star heavenly emperor. How could he block Lu Ming's attack? The spear swept out, and he followed in the footsteps of the previous outsider, exploding in the air. Lu Ming flashed past and kept the other party's storage bracelet. Run, run, run. When Lu Ming charged towards the outsider, Mo Tianluo had already fled frantically. The other outsider armies followed him and fled frantically. All of you, stop him for me. Stop him for this prince. Do you hear me? Mo Tianluo ordered his subordinates, but no one listened to him. What a joke. Stopping to stop Lu Ming was a dead end. Who would be so foolish? And at this moment, Lu Ming was chasing after Mo Tianluo. Mo Tianluo was so frightened that he almost cried. He roared frantically, "Stop him! Stop him! How dare you defy this prince's orders? I will kill your entire clan. I will exterminate your 9 generations." But the other outsider races were running faster than him. Seems like no one is helping you. A cold voice sounded behind Mo Tianluo. Mo Tianluo was so frightened that he jumped up. Lu Ming, spare my life. Mo Tianluo screamed. He was so frightened that he was out of his wits and didn't dare to resist. You tried to kill me time and time again. You tried to kill my friends. Do you think it's possible for me to spare you? Lu Ming sneered. His spear shook, and a terrifying force crushed towards Mo Tianluo. Mo Tianluo screamed miserably as his body turned into dust, and he died. Boom. At this moment, that two-star heavenly emperor went all out. He clashed with Dandan crazily and seized the opportunity to escape frantically. Don't think of leaving, Dandan roared. He controlled the heavenly Dao weapon and chased after the heavenly Dao weapon. On the heavenly Dao weapon, rays of powerful light burst out and blasted towards the outsider. Lu Ming also pushed his speed to the limit and chased after the outsider. Kill all the outsider races. At this moment, Bubbles, Ouyang Wushuang, and the rest led the army and chased after the outsider races that were escaping. Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. In addition, that two-star heavenly emperor was being chased tightly by Dandan. It was hard for him to fully display his speed. Soon, Lu Ming closed in on him. Swish! Lu Ming threw out the long spear that was condensed from the sovereign Dao towards that two-star heavenly emperor. His speed was extremely fast. The two-star heavenly emperor's third eye burst out with a destructive light, colliding with Lu Ming's long spear. Although he blocked it, his figure could not help but stagnate. In this way, Dandan seized the opportunity to catch up. He controlled the heavenly Dao weapon. That small pagoda turned into a huge pagoda, emitting a vast heavenly Dao pressure that suppressed the outsider. And in Lu Ming's hand, the great desolate spear appeared. Now, Lu Ming's physical body had already reached the heavenly emperor realm. He could completely unleash the power of the heavenly Dao weapon. Lu Ming's muscles trembled in his palm, transmitting it to the great desolate spear. The great desolate spear also vibrated violently. A heavenly Dao pressure pervaded out. Swish! Lu Ming rushed over, the great desolate spear stabbing out explosively. The two-star heavenly emperor blocked Dandan's attack. Wielding a huge axe, he chopped at Lu Ming. Dang! A deafening rumble. The two-star heavenly emperor's body shook violently. He retreated frantically, spitting out a mouthful of blood. One move, and he was injured. Furthermore, cracks appeared on the battle axe in his hand. A two-star heavenly emperor's combat power was indeed much stronger than a one-star heavenly emperor. However, he did not have a heavenly Dao weapon. And the current Lu Ming, just relying on his physical body and controlling the great desolate spear, was enough to battle a two-star heavenly emperor. Coupled with the sovereign Dao, Lu Ming's combat power was completely above a two-star heavenly emperor. Kill! Lu Ming roared and charged over once more. At the same time, Dandan also controlled the heavenly Dao weapon and charged over. Being besieged by Lu Ming and Dandan, the other party was even less of a match. Even if he did his best, it was also useless. Chapter 2454. A two-star heavenly emperor was killed, and the three heavenly emperors had completely fallen. As for Bubble and the rest, they led the army to chase after the foreign races for a while and killed a large number of them. The remaining foreign races escaped. Lu Ming, amazing. I didn't expect to be surpassed by you again. Dandan looked at Lu Ming with a gloomy face. Hee, isn't it normal to be surpassed by me? Who am I? The invincible genius of all time. In front of Dandan, Lu Ming's skin was even thicker than his. Sure enough, Dandan became even more unhappy, revealing a look of being dealt a blow. Let's go. Let's continue killing the enemy. Lu Ming arrived and looked at the foreign race camp in the distance. There, a heavenly realm army was fighting with the foreign race army. Kill! Dandan gritted his teeth, wanting to vent his frustration with Lu Ming on the foreign races. Seeing Lu Ming and Bubble coming over, the foreign races were shocked and hurriedly retreated into the camp, activating the array to resist. Lu Ming and Bubble arrived outside the camp. Greetings, heavenly emperors. In the heavenly realm army, many people were respectful in their hearts. In this heavenly realm army, there were even some people who were more familiar with Lu Ming. For example, Two of the heavenly realm's 9 absolutes were among them. But at this moment, they looked at Lu Ming with eyes full of reverence. It was obvious that Lu Ming had already stepped into the heavenly emperor realm. From now on, he was high and mighty. If they wanted to become a heavenly emperor, they didn't know how many years it would take and how many things they had to experience before they could do it. Their former opponent had already become a heavenly emperor, surpassing them by too much. They felt very complicated. Everyone, there's no need to be polite. Lu Ming waved his hand casually. After saying that, Lu Ming's gaze swept across the foreign race camp. He discovered that other than activating the array, most of the foreign races had actually retreated to the rear. Big Brother Lu Ming. At this moment, Bubble and the rest also flew over. Bubble directly rushed into Lu Ming's arms. Bubbles, you've grown up. Lu Ming patted Bubbles' head. After more than 100 years, Bubbles had finally grown up a little. She looked like a 7 or 8-year-old little girl and was even more adorable. Of course, Bubbles pouted, her little face blushing. Let's leave this place and return to Two World City, Lu Ming said. He believed that what happened here would soon spread to the other races. At that time, even more powerful races would definitely come. With Lu Ming's current strength, coupled with the Great Desolate Spear, even if he met a 3-star heavenly emperor, Lu Ming was confident that he could at least protect himself. However, it would be difficult to protect others. If a 4-star heavenly emperor level peerless powerhouse came, it would be hard for him to even protect himself. All right, let's go back. Dandan nodded. The other army was also planning to return to Two World City. Everyone flew towards Two World City together. There were no accidents on the way. Not long after, they safely returned to Two World City. Good friends had not seen each other for many years and naturally had many topics to talk about. Dandan, Bubbles, Huangling, and the rest were very curious about Lu Ming's experiences over the years. They pulled Lu Ming along to drink and chat. Lu Ming also briefly recounted his experiences over the past few years. Everyone who listened was shaken to their core. During this period, Lu Ming learned that Long Chun had also returned to the Divine Wilderness and married Xianyanli. Lu Ming was happy for him. Some of the grudges between him and the Xie family were also put aside as time passed. It was not until the next day that the crowd dispersed. Lu Ming came to a side courtyard and stayed there. He planned to return to the primordial realm in 2 days to visit his parents. However, just a day later, Dandan, Bubbles, Long Chun, and the rest came to Lu Ming's side courtyard. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, look who we brought. Dandan laughed. Who is it? Lu Ming smiled and looked around. Then, he saw a young man in the crowd. He seemed to be in his 20s. He had an imposing appearance and was extraordinarily handsome. He resembled Lu Ming quite a bit. Shen Huang. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Although more than 100 years had passed, Lu Ming immediately recognized that the young man was Lu Shenhuang through his aura. Father! Lu Shenhuang called out, his eyes full of surprise. Then, Lu Shenhuang walked over while holding the hand of a young woman. This woman was very beautiful and was not inferior to Huangling, Autumn Moon, and the rest. The woman was holding a little girl who was about 2 or 3 years old. She had 2 braids and was very cute. Father! The young lady blinked her big eyes and looked at Lu Ming curiously, calling out softly, Cheer, call Grandpa. Lu Shenhuang looked at the little girl. Grandpa, Grandpa. The little girl called out in a childish voice. What? Lu Ming was tongue-tied and stunned. It was obvious that this young woman was Lu Shenhuang's wife, and the little girl was his daughter. He took a detour from the evil god realm, but he didn't expect that Lu Shenhuang had already married and had a daughter. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, are you stupid? Dandan laughed. Get lost. Lu Ming scolded Dandan, and then looked at Lu Shenhuang and the others with a smile. Good, good, good. Lu Ming said a few good words, and his heart was filled with warmth. These were all his family. Shenhuang, what are their names? Lu Ming asked. Father, she is called Mu Wanxian, and this little guy is called Lu Qi. Lu Shenhuang introduced. Good. Lu Qi, Cheer, come. Let Grandpa hug you. Lu Ming reached out to Lu Qi. The little girl was not shy at all. She climbed onto Lu Ming and rolled around in Lu Ming's arms. Lu Ming carefully used his power of the world to support Lu Qi, afraid that she would fall. She can start cultivating in 2 years. Lu Ming smiled and instructed Lu Shenhuang. I've been building her foundation with spiritual herbs. She can start cultivating in 2 years. Lu Shenhuang nodded. Have you met your grandparents? Lu Ming asked again. Lu Shenhuang paused for a moment and then shook his head. No, tomorrow, come with me to meet them, Lu Ming said. Okay. Lu Ming and Shenhuang nodded. Everyone chatted and laughed. After a while, Dandan and the others left. Only Lu Ming, Lu Shenhuang, Mu Wanxian, and Lu Qi were left in the courtyard. The little girl had been nestled in Lu Ming's arms, unwilling to come out. Little guy, Lu Ming smiled, and then his body emitted a purple-gold light that enveloped Lu Qi. This was the power of the ruler. The power of the ruler was supreme. Lu Ming wanted to use the power of the ruler to build Lu Qi's foundation and improve her body. The power of the ruler was so mysterious that it could adjust Lu Qi's body to the best state. Lu Shenhuang and Mu Wanxian naturally knew what Lu Ming wanted to do. They stood quietly on the side and did not speak. After a full day, Lu Ming was finally done. Chapter 24:55. Shenhuang, how is your mother now? Lu Ming hesitated for a moment and asked. That was what Lu Ming was most concerned about. Mother is still the same as before. Lu Shenhuang said. When we return from the primordial realm, we'll go and find your mother. Lu Ming said. It was time to settle the matter of Xian Yanqing. Otherwise, Lu Ming would never be at ease. Let's go. Lu Ming stood up, followed by Lu Shenhuang and the others, and headed towards the passage back to the primordial realm. Lu Ming had returned to the primordial realm several times, so he was already familiar with the way. Not long after, Lu Ming and the others returned to the primordial mountain of the primordial realm through the void passage. The primordial realm was still peaceful. Back then, the foreign races used the bones of the previous generation of space-time spirit mice to open a passage to the primordial realm. Fortunately, Lu Ming and the others discovered it. In that battle, Lu Ming was captured, but the Titan Longhorn Beetle and 9 Lives Demonic Silkworm arrived and rescued Dandan, Bubbles, and 2-1 in Lei. Then, they sent the news to the Heavenly Realm. The Heavenly Realm sent a large number of experts to guard the passage. The foreign races seemed to know that they could not do anything. In these years, they did not continue to open the passage, nor did they invade from there. Therefore, the primordial realm was still peaceful. Lu Ming led the others and flew towards Celestial City. Back then, the people of Dragon God Valley and the Dragon Alliance occupied the territories of the Hong and He families respectively. Later, the Chaos Palace sent some puppet experts to guard the two families, making the two families impregnable. In these years, they had developed steadily and many experts had emerged. The strength of Dragon God Valley and the Dragon Alliance was steadily increasing. In a huge courtyard, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were chatting. Although more than 100 years had passed, the two of them had not aged. Instead, they were getting younger and younger. Lu Ming had left behind a large number of resources. Although Li Ping's cultivation talent was poor, with a large number of resources and the guidance of some great emperors, her cultivation had still reached the martial emperor realm. Martial emperors could live for 10 to 20,000 years. Naturally, she looked very young. Sigh, Ming hasn't returned for over 100 years. I wonder how he is now. Li Ping sighed softly, her eyes filled with longing. Madam, young master is currently in seclusion. I believe that once he comes out, he will come back to see you. At the side, Qiu Yu said. Back then, they hadn't told Li Ping and Lu Yuntian that Lu Ming had been captured by the outsiders. They had only told them that Lu Ming was in seclusion. All these years, Autumn Moon had been by Li Ping and Autumn Moon's side. That's right, you're really a woman. You're already a martial emperor, but you don't have any experience. With Ming's current cultivation, it's normal for him to go into seclusion for 100 years. Lu Yuntian said to Li Ping, You're the only one with a big heart. Li Ping rolled her eyes at him. At this moment, the autumn moon seemed to have sensed something and looked up at the sky. The empty sky suddenly trembled, and a spatial crack appeared. From it, several figures walked out. It was Lu Ming and the others. The autumn moon was stunned. Then, her delicate body trembled and tears flowed down her cheeks. She whispered, young master is back. It's young master. The autumn moon knew that Lu Ming had been captured by the outsiders. Naturally, she was extremely worried. Now that she saw Lu Ming, it would be strange if she wasn't excited. Hearing the autumn moon's words, Li Ping and Lu Yuntian also looked up at the sky. Ming-er, the two of them were overjoyed. Let's go down. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. He then stepped down and landed in the courtyard. Lu Shenhuang and the others followed him. Father, mother. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. Ming-er, you're finally out. Li Ping was also very excited. As she spoke, she looked at Lu Shenhuang and the others and couldn't help but be stunned. This was because Lu Shenhuang and Lu Ming were too similar. Ming-er, they are... Lu Yuntian was also stunned. Cough, cough. Lu Ming coughed a few times and introduced, Father, Mother, this is my son, Lu Shenhuang. That is Shenhuang's wife, Mu Wanxian. And this is Shenhuang's daughter, my granddaughter, Lu Qi. Li Ping and Lu Yuntian were stunned. But in an instant, their faces were full of smiles. They didn't expect that after 100 years, they would have a grandson. Not only that, their grandson had a wife and a daughter. The two of them were naturally excited to have so many descendants. Grandpa, Grandma, Grandpa, Grandma. Lu Shenhuang and Mu Wanxian came forward and bowed to Li Ping and Lu Yuntian. Great-grandpa, great-grandma. The little girl also called out in a cute voice. Good, good, good. No need to be so polite. The two of them couldn't stop smiling. As a family, blood was thicker than water. Naturally, they got to know each other very quickly. Not long after, Li Ping hugged Lu Qi and chatted with Mu Wanxian happily. Good, you're just like Ming-er. Haha. Lu Yuntian patted Lu Shenhuang's shoulder and laughed. The whole family was happy and harmonious. Qiu Moon stood at the side, her eyes full of envy. She hoped that she could give birth to a child for Lu Ming. Ming-er, Shenhuang's mother is. After a while, Li Ping asked Lu Ming, She's Nianqing. Lu Ming said, Then where is she? Li Ping asked with concern. She has something to do now. Mother, don't worry. I will bring her to see you soon. Lu Ming said. While everyone was chatting, Lu Yuntian ordered a banquet to be prepared. The news of Lu Ming's return also spread, causing the people of the Dragon League and Dragon God Valley to cheer. Lu Ming was their backbone. Without Lu Ming, they felt uneasy. There was even a rumor that Lu Ming had fallen. There was always an uneasy atmosphere in the Dragon League and Dragon God Valley. Now that Lu Ming had appeared, everyone was naturally happy. At night, the moonlight scattered and the ground seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. Outside the celestial city, on a mountain peak, Qiu Moon stood there quietly, looking into the distance. Sigh. After a long time, Qiu Moon sighed softly. Qiu Moon, why are you sighing? Suddenly, a voice sounded. Qiu Moon was shocked. She turned around and saw Lu Ming looking at her with a smile. Young master. Qiu Moon's face blushed. Lu Ming walked over and held Qiu Moon's hand. Qiu Moon, thank you. Lu Ming said. How could he not know about Qiu Moon's thoughts? Young master, why are you thanking me? Qiu Moon said. Thank you for taking care of my parents for so many years. Lu Ming said. This is what I should do. Before Qiu Moon could finish, her gentle lips were sealed by Lu Ming's lips. Qiu Yu's body trembled as she slowly closed her eyes. At the corner of her eyes, 2 drops of crystal-clear tears flowed down her white cheeks. After a long time, their lips parted. Qiu Moon, I, Lu Ming, will not let you down in this life. Chapter 2456. I won't let you down in this life. This was Lu Ming's vow to Autumn Moon. After being in the evil god realm for more than 100 years, Lu Ming had thought through many things. Some people couldn't be let down. For example, Autumn Moon, she had wholeheartedly given too much to Lu Ming. Moreover, she had never asked for anything. How could Lu Ming not know? How could Lu Ming not be moved? Thank you, young master. Autumn Moon leaned into Lu Ming's embrace and hugged Lu Ming tightly, as if she was unwilling to let go for the rest of her life. The moonlight shone down, pulling the shadows of the two people very long, as if they had merged into one. This time, Lu Ming stayed in Celestial City for 3 months. In these 3 months, Lu Ming didn't cultivate much. He accompanied Li Ping and Lu Yuntian with Lu Shenhuang and the rest. Of course, Lu Ming also took the time to preach the Tao. Other than the people from Dragon Alliance and Dragon God Valley, people from other forces in Celestial City also flocked to listen to Lu Ming's preaching. As soon as Lu Ming started speaking, that kind of aura shook everyone. Lu Ming was like a god that ruled the world, explaining the mysteries of the world to the fullest. Celestial Emperor. Some people guess that Lu Ming must have reached the Celestial Emperor realm. Great emperors definitely didn't have such an aura. The rumor that Lu Ming was a Celestial Emperor spread like wildfire, shaking the entire Celestial City. Then, the entire Primordial Mountain was shaken. Moreover, this news spread to other places at a terrifying speed. A strong wind blew in the entire Primordial realm. Lu Ming had become a Celestial Emperor. This news shocked countless people. Lu Ming stayed in Celestial City for a few months, then returned to the Heaven Realm with Lu Shenhuang and the rest. After returning to the Heaven Realm, they rushed to Xian Yinqing's residence without stopping. It had been more than 100 years, but Xian Yinqing's place of residence had not changed. It was still the same place. From afar, Lu Ming could see Xian Yinqing cultivating on a mountain peak. His entire body was shrouded in a layer of strange black energy. Peak Great Emperor. Sensing Xian Yinqing's aura, Lu Ming was delighted. He was afraid that Xian Yinqing's cultivation was too high. If Xian Yinqing had also reached the Heavenly Emperor realm, then it would be more troublesome for him to restrain Xian Yinqing. On the other hand, Xian Yinqing's cultivation base was only at the Emperor realm. In that case, Lu Ming was confident. Stay here and don't come over. Lu Ming warned Lu Shenhuang and the rest. Then, he stepped forward and walked towards Xian Yinqing. When Lu Ming was a distance away from Xian Yinqing suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with cold light. "Lowly ant, it's you. Die." Xian Yinqing shouted. His body turned into a black stream of light and pounced towards Lu Ming. Whoosh! When he approached Lu Ming, a long sword appeared in Xian Yinqing's hand. With a slash, a pitch-black swordlight slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used his sovereign Tao. His palm was suffused with purple-gold light as he struck out with his palm. Boom! Lu Ming's palm collided with Xian Yinqing's swordlight, causing a violent explosion. Xian Yinqing's swordlight dissipated. Her delicate body shook, and she couldn't help but take 2 steps back. However, Lu Ming's body also shook violently, and he took a few steps back. What terrifying power! Lu Ming was shocked. After clashing with Xian Yinqing, she felt that Xian Yinqing's power was shockingly strong. Even her sovereign Tao was about to be torn apart. Although Lu Ming's current cultivation was only that of a 1-star Great Emperor, Lu Ming could suppress and even kill a 1-star Heavenly Emperor with his sovereign Tao. Even with such combat strength, Xian Yinqing had actually repelled him. Xian Yinqing's combat strength was also shockingly strong. With his peak Great Emperor cultivation, he could fight across realms and even kill a Heavenly Emperor. Kill! Xian Yinqing shouted and attacked Lu Ming again. A long spear condensed in Lu Ming's palm and swept towards Xian Yinqing. Lu Ming did not erupt with the power of his physical body. He purely relied on the power of his sovereign Tao to fight with Xian Yinqing. Boom! Boom! The two people clashed continuously. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Lu Ming was shocked to discover that he was actually at a disadvantage. Just relying on his sovereign Tao, he was still not Xian Yinqing's match. He could not help secretly rejoicing. Fortunately, Xian Yinqing did not break through to Heavenly Emperor. Otherwise, he really could not suppress Xian Yinqing. Buzz! Lu Ming's muscles and bones vibrated, beginning to erupt with the power of his physical body. Combining the power of his physical body and the sovereign Tao, Lu Ming's combat strength increased greatly. His long spear trembled, and a terrifying power surged towards Xian Yinqing. Xian Yinqing frantically retreated, his face somewhat pale. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and pounced towards Xian Yinqing. His long spear swept towards Xian Yinqing again. Xian Yinqing yelled. The black glow around her body was extremely intense, emitting a dazzling sword gleam. However, after the sword gleam collided with Lu Ming's long spear, it was directly defeated. Xian Yinqing frantically retreated again. Lu Ming quickly followed. In the distance, Lu Shenhuang and the others were extremely anxious. Don't worry, Lu Ming won't hurt your mother. He's helping her. A figure suddenly appeared beside Lu Shenhuang and the others. It was Xian Yinjuan. Xian Yinjuan was dressed in white, and his aura was unfathomable. Yes. Lu Shenhuang nodded. Whoosh. Lu Ming charged at Xian Yinqing. His long spear disappeared and turned into a large hand that grabbed at the young man. Xian Yinqing shouted, and the black light around her body became even brighter. Then, it turned into black lotuses that enveloped Xian Yinqing. Lu Ming's big hand grabbed the lotus flower but was blocked by it. The defensive power of these lotuses was astonishing. So strong. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and charged over, his fists constantly bombarding the lotuses. Boom, boom, boom. The lotuses around Xian Yinqing's body constantly rumbled and exploded, turning into energy and disappearing. Open for me. Lu Ming shouted, and the power of the sovereign filled his body. He exerted force and broke apart the lotuses. Then, he reached out and grabbed Xian Yinqing's slender waist. Lowly ant, you're courting death. Xian Yinqing resisted with all her strength, and Lu Ming's arm went numb. Lu Ming used all his strength to hold Xian Yinqing's slender waist, and his other hand grabbed Xian Yinqing's two arms. Then, the power of the sovereign poured into Xian Yinqing's body, suppressing her strength. The power of the sovereign was indeed very high, and its power was astonishing. Slowly, it suppressed Xian Yinqing's strength. Xian Yinqing's resistance became weaker and weaker. Ant, you're courting death. Xian Yinqing kept shouting. Shut up and wait. See how I'll conquer you. Lu Ming shouted coldly. After all, this was not Xian Yinqing, but Xian Yinqing's memories from his previous life. You guys wait here, Lu Ming said to Lu Shenhuang and the others. Then, he flew away with Xian Yinqing to a secluded place and entered the mountain river diagram. What are you trying to do? Xian Yinqing shouted. Shaoqing and I already have a child. We're an old married couple. What do you think I'm going to do? Lu Ming smiled eerily. Xian Yinqing's face turned pale, and she screamed in fear. No, I won't let you go, whoosh. Chapter 2457. Lu Ming was very familiar with this process. His palm moved up and down Xian Yinqing's body. Xian Yinqing's skin was like jade, as smooth as silk. This made Lu Ming's abdomen burn with lust. After being touched by Lu Ming's palm, Xian Yinqing's delicate body trembled. Then, she began to struggle violently. However, she was now completely under Lu Ming's control. How could she break free? Ant, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you, Xian Yinqing kept cursing. However, Lu Ming's movements became faster and faster. Xian Yinqing's clothes were torn into pieces, fluttering like black butterflies. Then, Lu Ming's palm moved along Xian Yinqing's flat abdomen and reached into the fragrant grass below. Xian Yinqing trembled even more violently. Her cheeks were flushed red. In the end, she simply closed her eyes. Lu Ming's attack continued. In the end, the two bodies overlapped. With a soft groan from Xian Yinqing, Lu Ming entered Xian Yinqing's body. At this moment, Xian Yinqing's body trembled violently. Then, she let out a soft cry. Lu Ming. Shaoqing, it's you. Lu Ming was overjoyed. It seemed like Xian Yinqing's memories of her previous life had faded away. Her current life's memories were the dominant one. Lu Ming. Xian Yinqing hugged Lu Ming tightly. Her legs wrapped around Lu Ming as she cooperated with Lu Ming. Lu Ming charged forward with all his might. The two of them engaged in a fierce battle. This battle lasted for a total of 300 rounds before it ended. Xian Yinqing fell into a deep sleep at the side. Lu Ming put on his clothes and sat cross-legged at the side. He didn't dare to sleep because he didn't know when Xian Yinqing's memories of her previous life would take over. If that happened, she would definitely attack him. Sure enough, Lu Ming felt a cold, murderous intent the next day at dawn. Lowly ant, how dare you defile my body? Die! Xian Yinqing shouted. She held a long sword in her hand and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body moved. He dodged Xian Yinqing's attack and counterattacked. This battle was the same as before. Xian Yinqing was defeated in just a few moves. It seems like yesterday's battle was not enough. Let's do it again. Lu Ming had an evil smile on his face. You dare? Xian Yinqing's delicate body trembled. Why wouldn't I dare? Lu Ming grinned hideously. He began to move his hands up and down, executing Xian Yinqing on the spot. Xian Yinqing's memories of her previous life simply gave up and let Xian Yinqing's memories of this life take over. In this way, Xian Yinqing's memories of this life would slowly take over. Lu Ming, I will definitely win. After the fierce battle, Xian Yinqing lay in Lu Ming's arms. I believe in you. Now that the divine wilderness has a child, we must reunite as a family, Lu Ming said. In the following days, Xian Yinqing's memories of her previous life launched a counterattack whenever she had the chance. She wanted to kill Lu Ming, but she was subdued by Lu Ming every time. After a series of attacks, Xian Yinqing became docile. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. In this way, Xian Yinqing's memories of this life slowly took over. Every day, the memories of this life dominated for more and more time. Sometimes, she would go out with Lu Ming to accompany Lu Shunhuang and tease little Lu Qi in this way. A virtuous cycle was formed. Accompanying Lu Ming and accompanying the child, Xian Yinqing's obsession became stronger and stronger. She was absolutely unwilling to give up and fight against the memories of her previous life. And the fighting spirit of her previous life's memories became weaker and weaker. Because of the memories of her previous life, her origin was not trivial. She was a high and mighty goddess, and she did not put Lu Ming in her eyes at all. Although Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the heavenly emperor realm, in her eyes, he was still a lowly ant. What was a heavenly emperor in her eyes? Even a supreme expert who surpassed the heavenly emperor was like an ant in her eyes. But now, she was repeatedly violated and defiled by an ant. She really could not stand it anymore. She would rather die, would rather be merged with Xian Yinqing's memories of this life. Without the fighting spirit of her previous life, the memories of this life naturally took over. Slowly, Xian Yinqing's memories of her previous life became weaker and weaker. Just like this, time passed in a flash. Another 3 years passed. In 3 years, Xian Yinqing's memories of her previous life were practically obliterated and devoured. Most of Xian Yinqing's time was dominated by the memories of this life. Even if the memories of her previous life occasionally dominated, it was also different from before. She did not kill Lu Ming anymore, but was in a daze. On this day, Xian Yinqing accompanied Lu Shunhuang, Lu Qi, and the rest. And Lu Ming was sitting cross-legged on a mountain peak. His body was completely covered in purple gold light. After several years of cultivation, Lu Ming's Tao of Sovereign became more and more mature. Now, I can break through, Lu Ming muttered. Then, he took out pieces of chaos stones and started devouring the chaos qi within the chaos stones to increase his cultivation. Huff, huff, huff. Large amounts of chaos stones were devoured by Lu Ming, refined, and turned into the power of the world. Lu Ming's small world began to rapidly expand again. However, the resources consumed were also shocking. When Lu Ming broke through from the true Emperor realm to the Great Emperor realm, he had consumed a total of 3,000 chaos stones and a large amount of origin stones. Now, Lu Ming had broken through from the 1-star Great Emperor realm to the 2-star Great Emperor realm. The resources consumed were even more. As time passed, Lu Ming refined more and more resources. Half a month later, Lu Ming had consumed a total of 6,000 chaos stones and 30% of the origin stones in his body. His cultivation had finally broken through to the 2-star Great Emperor realm. His small world had doubled in size, reaching a radius of 20 million miles. The purplish gold energy in his power of the world had increased and become denser. The reason why Lu Ming had consumed so many resources was to convert them into this purplish gold energy. This purplish gold energy was not the power of the world. It was of a higher level than the power of the world. Lu Ming called it the power of the sovereign. At this rate, I don't have enough resources on me. At the thought of this, Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Originally, the resources that he had obtained from the Void Sacred Island were enough. Lu Ming thought that it would at least last him for a long time. But now, he realized that it was not enough. Now, he was only a 2-star Great Emperor. Out of the 20,000 Chaos Stones, he had consumed 9,000 of them. There were still 20,000 Primordial Stones left. As for the Origin Stones, he had used 30 to 40%. At this rate, these resources could only allow Lu Ming to cultivate to the 4-star Great Emperor realm. At this rate, there would be no more resources. Without resources, it would take God knows how long to slowly absorb the origin chi of heaven and earth to advance to the next level. Let's take it one step at a time. Lu Ming sighed. With the increase in his cultivation, Lu Ming's battle strength had increased tremendously. The power of the sovereign had become stronger. Lu Ming could now suppress or even kill a 2-star Great Emperor with the sovereign Dao alone. With his physical strength and the Great Desolation Spear, it would not be a problem for him to defeat a 3-star Great Emperor. Not far away, Xian Yinqing and the others looked over. Forget it, Xian Yinqing muttered. There was a sigh in his eyes and a trace of unwillingness. Chapter 2458. Xian Yinqing's eyes flashed with a complicated look. A voice entered Xian Yinjuan's ears. Xian Yinjuan, I can only leave that matter to you. Don't worry, I'll definitely complete that matter. Xian Yinjuan also sent a voice transmission to Xian Yinqing. After Xian Yinqing heard it, she smiled slightly, then her delicate body suddenly trembled. Boom! At this moment, an extremely powerful aura came out of Xian Yinqing's body. Then, she sat cross-legged, and a black lotus appeared, enveloping her inside. Mother, Lu Shenhuang was shocked. Lu Ming's figure swayed, and he also came close. Don't worry, your mother has succeeded. The memories of this life have completely taken the initiative, and the memories of the previous life have been devoured and merged. Now, she's about to break through. Xian Yinjuan smiled. Lu Ming was also overjoyed. It seemed that Xian Yinqing had finally succeeded. Lu Ming glanced at Xian Yinjuan again. In his eyes, Xian Yinjuan was becoming more and more unfathomable. Xian Yinqing's cultivation had fallen far behind Xian Yinjuan because of the conflict between the two memories. Even Lu Ming could not see through Xian Yinjuan's cultivation now. Shaoqing and Xian Yinjuan, what is their background in their previous life? Lu Ming pondered. He had a feeling that their background in their previous life must be very shocking. However, he was now standing in the Heavenly Emperor realm, almost at the peak. He had even seen powerhouses like the Ancestral Dragon and the other tribe's divine ancestor. However, Xian Yinjuan still gave him a feeling that he could not see through. Lu Ming had asked Xian Yinqing this question before, but Xian Yinqing shook his head and didn't say much. He only said that it wasn't the right time yet. He seemed to have some misgivings, so Lu Ming didn't ask. Xian Yinqing's aura became stronger and stronger, currently at the crucial moment of breaking through to the Heavenly Emperor realm. Everyone waited in the distance. In a twinkle, a month passed. Xian Yinqing still had not finished breaking through. And at this time, Lu Ming received a message. It was transmitted to him by Celestial Emperor Hongyu. Outside Two Realm City, the passageway to the primordial realm was reopened. Lu Ming's heart trembled. That passageway led to the primordial realm. Back then, Lu Ming had come to the heaven realm through that passageway. During the battle back then, the passageway had been destroyed by Lu Ming's divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Back then, evil swordsmen had said that the passageway would reopen in about 100 years. Now that more than 100 years had passed, the passage had finally reopened. Lu Ming was a little worried. He was afraid that the foreign tribes would send an army to occupy the passageway and enter the primordial realm. Shenhuang, wait for your mother here. I have something important to do. I'll return to Two Realm City first. After your mother breaks through, come to Two Realm City to find me. Lu Ming said. Father, be careful. Shenhuang said. Lu Ming nodded and took a step forward. The space directly split open. Lu Ming entered the space crack and disappeared. With Lu Ming's speed, it did not take long for him to rush back to Two Realm City. After rushing back to Two Realm City, he learned that the Heaven Realm had already sent some peerless powerhouses to enter the ancient battlefield to guard the passageway. That battlefield was very terrifying. There were marks left behind by the peerless powerhouses back then. Ordinary heavenly emperors would be in danger if they entered. Only peerless powerhouses could enter safely. Now, there were many powerhouses in the Heaven Realm. A group of powerhouses came out of the lair of Zulong. In addition to the powerhouses from the prison suppression realm, there were many powerhouses. And this time, the foreign tribes did not make any moves. They still focused on defense. Hearing this news, Lu Ming breathed a sigh of relief. Now that the prison suppression realm had come to the Heaven Realm, the two sides joined forces and their strength increased greatly. The foreign tribes did not seem to want to fight head-on. Instead, they wanted to wait for divine ancestor Sha Xian to recover. Lu Ming was very clear about the foreign tribes' plans. However, they had no other choice. The Heaven Realm could defend, but if they wanted to gather all their strength and attack the evil God Realm before divine ancestor Sha Xian recovered, they could not do it. The only thing they could do now was to improve themselves as much as possible. The final battle would definitely come. The passageway was fine. Lu Ming was relieved. He returned to Xian Yinqing's side and waited for Xian Yinqing to break through. A few more months passed. Xian Yinqing's aura had reached its peak and broke through a limit. Heavenly Emperor Realm. Xian Yinqing had finally broken through. Strange. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with doubt. Xian Yinqing had broken through to Heavenly Emperor, but the feeling she gave off was different from other Heavenly Emperors. Whether it was in the Heaven Realm or the Evil God Realm, after breaking through to Heavenly Emperor, no matter which cultivation system one cultivated, they all belonged to the Heavenly Tao and involved the power of the Heavenly Tao. Of course, Lu Ming's path of sovereign was an exception. However, Lu Ming did not sense the slightest aura of Heaven Tao from Xian Yinqing. There was only pure power, but it gave off an extremely terrifying feeling. Lu Shenhuang also cultivated Xian Yinqing's cultivation method. It did not belong to the Heaven Realm or the Evil God Realm's cultivation system. Lu Ming knew that it should be Xian Yinqing's cultivation method from his previous life. Lu Ming, Shenhuang. Not long after the breakthrough, Xian Yinqing retracted his aura. He opened his eyes and looked at Lu Ming and Lu Shenhuang with a smile. "Mother, are you completely healed?" Lu Shenhuang was overjoyed. "Yes." Xian Yinqing smiled. Then, he glanced at Xian Yinjuan. Xian Yinjuan smiled and turned to leave, disappearing in the blink of an eye. After that, the whole family gathered together, and the atmosphere was joyful and harmonious. Lu Ming stayed for a few more months. In these few months, Lu Ming was completely relaxed and did not worry too much about cultivation. A few months later, they returned to the primordial realm and met up with Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. After a while, they arrived at Two World City. After that, Lu Ming planned to stay in Two World City and fight against the foreign races while cultivating. The days seemed to have become dull. Time passed quickly, and 20 years passed. After 20 years, Lu Ming finally made another breakthrough, and his cultivation rose to 3-star Great Emperor. However, the resources used were also shocking. This time, he used primordial stones. 20,000 primordial stones were used up by Lu Ming in one go. As for the origin stones, Lu Ming was left with 30% of the total. "I'm afraid the remaining resources are not enough for me to break through to 4-star Great Emperor." Lu Ming smiled bitterly. However, after breaking through to 3-star Great Emperor, the sovereign energy in his autonomous force had become richer, and his battle strength had undoubtedly increased. However, his physical body did not break through, and the 7 gods' mysterious art was still in the early 6th stage. It would take a long time for him to break through to the middle 6th stage. *// On this day, Lu Ming was chatting with Xian Yinqing when he suddenly heard the sound of flowing water. This sound seemed to be coming from afar. Moreover, the sound was getting louder and louder, like the waves of a great river. "What's that sound?" Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing were puzzled and flew into the sky to take a look. As soon as they flew into the sky, they were shocked because there were people flying into the sky from all corners of Two World City, looking in the direction of Two World City with a puzzled expression. The voice came from outside the Two World City. It spread throughout the entire Two World City. Could it be caused by the foreign races? Someone was puzzled. Let's go and take a look. Chapter 2459. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also flew toward the city walls. When they arrived, they found that there were already many people gathered on the city walls. However, there was no movement outside the city walls. There was no sign of any foreign races either. Senior Hung Yu, what's going on? Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing saw Celestial Emperor Hung Yu and walked over to ask. I don't know. There was a strange sound outside the city. We have already sent people to check it out. Celestial Emperor Hung Yu said. Everyone waited patiently. Not long after, more than 10 figures flew back from outside the city. What happened outside the city? Why is there the sound of a river flowing? Someone asked immediately. There's a battlefield outside the city. The space suddenly split open and a river appeared? An old man answered. A river suddenly appeared? Many people were puzzled. That's right. It's a yellow river. It's extremely wide and there's water overflowing. It's extremely terrifying. A great emperor was splashed by the river water and was directly corroded to death. The old man said, What? Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. What river? The river water was so terrifying that a great emperor would be corroded to death if he was splashed by it. It looks like the legendary Yellow Spring River in Abysmal Heaven. The old man answered, What? Yellow Spring River? Why would the Yellow Spring River appear in this battlefield? Legend has it that the Yellow Spring River has no end. It flows through the heavens. Perhaps it will pass by this battlefield? But why would it overflow? Many people were puzzled. Yellow Spring River. Lu Ming was shocked. He concluded that it must be the Yellow Spring River. Back then, he accidentally went to Abysmal Heaven with the primordial physique cultivators and went to Abysmal Heaven. He used the Yellow Spring River to return to Taiching Heaven. He knew very well that the Yellow Spring River did pass by the battlefield outside the city. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. Many people flew out of the city and flew toward the source of the sound. Lu Ming, do you want to go and take a look? Celestial Emperor Hung Yu looked at Lu Ming. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Immediately, he, Xian Yinqing, Heavenly Emperor Hung Yu, and the others all flew toward the source of the sound. Not long after, they arrived at a battlefield and stopped in the distance. In front of them, cracks appeared in the space. They could clearly see a yellow river flowing through them. The river was incomparably wide. It flowed through the void, and no one knew where it would lead to. From time to time, yellow river water would overflow and fall on the ground, corroding the ground and creating bottomless pits. It really is the Yellow Springs River, Lu Ming muttered. He had seen the Yellow Springs before, so he definitely wasn't mistaken. However, why did the space suddenly split open and the Yellow Springs water overflowed? This had never been recorded before. Lu Ming was extremely puzzled. On the other side of the Yellow Springs River, there were also countless figures from the outsiders. Clearly, the foreign beings were also alarmed, and they were also looking on with bewilderment. Look, there's a mountain on the Yellow Springs River. Suddenly, someone cried out in shock. There was no need for him to shout, as the others also saw it. In front of the Yellow Springs, an unknown distance away, a huge mountain appeared, faintly discernible. Countless people were shocked. Legend had it that no one knew where the end of the Yellow Springs River was. Even the Heavenly Emperor didn't know. It was extremely mysterious. It could be said that it was one of the most mysterious places in the world. Lu Ming also widened his eyes. When they fled from the abysmal heavenly domain to the Taiching heavenly domain on the sky-reaching battleship, they had also seen such a mountain. At that time, they had wondered if it was the end of the Yellow Springs River. However, no one noticed that there was a figure in the depths of the sky. That figure was Ancestral Gragon. Is it finally here? Moke has been waiting for this day. After countless years, is the legendary Yellow Springs Mountain going to reappear again? Ancestral Gragon muttered with a serious and expectant look in his eyes. It's time to prepare, Ancestral Gragon said, then turned and left. 3 days later, a dragon's roar resounded throughout the Taiching heavenly domain. Even Two World City could hear it clearly. In Two World City, Lu Ming suddenly rose to his feet. Ancestral Graygon, Ancestral Graygon's voice. Lu Ming was shocked. Ancestral Graygon's roar suddenly resounded throughout the Taiching heavenly domain. What was going on? What happened? This dragon's roar alarmed the Taiching heavenly domain. Countless people came out of seclusion. Then, a piece of news spread throughout the Taiching heavenly domain and even the Yuan realm at the speed of a whirlwind. The lair of Zulong had appeared, and Ancestral Graygon had appeared. Ancestral Graygon was a supreme expert who surpassed the heavenly emperor. When the news spread, the Taiching heavenly domain was in an uproar. After all, not many people in this world knew about Ancestral Graygon. Most people didn't know about Ancestral Graygon's existence. Even some heavenly emperors didn't know about it. Heavens, Ancestral Graygon, a supreme expert who surpassed the heavenly emperor? There really is such an existence in this world. I used to think that it was just a legend. Ha ha ha. We are so lucky to have such an expert in the heavenly domain. It is said that there are countless experts in the lair of Zulong. We don't have to be afraid of the foreign tribes now. The appearance of Ancestral Graygon raised the morale of the heavenly domain. But Lu Ming wasn't so optimistic. The ancestral dragon suddenly appeared. Could it be that the final battle is coming? Lu Ming whispered. He had a bad feeling. Could it be that Saint Ancestor Sha Xian had completely recovered? Impossible. How many years has it been? At this time, Ancestral Graygon sent out a large number of experts to invite some people to the lair of Zulong. Many geniuses were among them. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also received an invitation. In addition, Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu also received an invitation, as well as Dandan, Bubbles, Huang Ling, Long Chen, Ouyang Wushuang, and others. There was no pattern. Some had high cultivation, and some had low cultivation. Lu Ming and the others immediately set off for the lair of Zulong. A few days later, they arrived at the lair of Zulong and gathered at a huge square under the mountain where Ancestral Graygon lived. There are so many auras of experts. How terrifying. Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu and the others felt the auras of the experts on the mountain. Heavenly Emperor Hong Yu and the others were shocked. Ha ha ha. It's been so many years. I'm here again. Dandan grinned. Dandan, you used to come here often? Lu Ming asked. Of course. I'm just an ordinary person. Unfortunately, I've only seen Senior Ancestral Graygon once. Dandan said. I really want to see Senior Ancestral Graygon's glory. A supreme expert who has surpassed the Heavenly Emperor. A legendary figure. Huang Ling, Long Chun, and the others were also very excited. As they chatted, more and more people gathered. Lu Ming saw many acquaintances. For example, Tian Ming, Bao Da, and the 9 fatalities of the heavenly domain, Lin Xiaofeng, Fu Lu, and the others. These were all geniuses. Lu Ming also saw some powerhouses. There were heavenly emperors and heavenly emperors. Is that the Titan Longhorn? Chapter 2460. Back then, before Lu Ming was captured by the foreign tribes, the Titan Longhorn beetle and the middle-aged man had helped him. Later, Lu Ming learned from Dandan that the middle-aged man was one of the top 10 battle beasts, the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm. Old Bull, 9 Lives, you're here too. Come and greet me. Dandan shouted at the Titan Longhorn beetle and the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm. The Titan Longhorn beetle and the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm glanced at Dandan, then stepped forward. Greetings, seniors. Huang Ling, Long Chun, and even the Hong Yu Celestial Emperor hurriedly bowed. They knew that these two were 2 of the top 10 battle beasts, so they naturally did not dare to slight them. Each of the top 10 battle beasts was a terrifying existence, standing at the peak of the Celestial Emperor. In ancient times, other than the Chaos Emperor, the Immortal Emperor, and a few other invincible powerhouses, no one was a match for the top 10 battle beasts. Of course, except for those like the Ancestral Graygon, who had surpassed the Celestial Emperor. The Titan Longhorn beetle and the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm nodded, indicating that there was no need for formalities. Old Bull, aren't you guarding a void passage in the primordial realm? Why are you here? Dandan asked casually. Senior Ancestral Gragon sent someone to ask me to come here. There are already people guarding there. The Titan Longhorn Beetle replied, then glared and said, Old Turtle, you know a lot of secrets. Do you know why the Ancestral Gragon has gathered us here this time? It should be related to the Yellow Springs Mountain, right? Dandin rolled her eyes and said, Yellow Springs Mountain? Could it be that looming mountain on the Yellow Springs River? The Titan Longhorn Beetle, the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm, and the others were puzzled. It should be, but I'm not very sure about the specifics. Dandin frowned. Haha, what a coincidence today. At this moment, a loud laugh was heard. Then, a golden light flashed, and a big man with messy hair appeared in the air. Brother Qingsong. Lu Ming smiled. The person who came was the 9-headed golden lion, Qingsong. Old lion, so you're not dead. When it saw Qingsong and the Titan Longhorn Beetle, it glared at them. Nonsense. Even an old bull like you isn't dead, so how could I die? Qingsong also glared at Dandin and said, Also, this evil old tortoise is still alive, so how can I die? Hey, what did you say? Watch your mouth. Dandin was furious, and his eyes were wide open. Dandin, what atrocities have you done in the past? Lu Ming asked curiously. Bah, what do you mean by offending the heavens and reason? They are framing. Dandin's eyes were even bigger than the Titan Longhorn Beetle's. Slander? Who would rob other people's ancestral tombs every day? Once, I even stole it from the Undying Sovereign and was taught a lesson by the Undying Sovereign. I was almost turned into a roasted turtle, Qingsong said disdainfully. Lu Ming finally understood why Dandin couldn't get the indestructible ancient scripture when it appeared. It turned out that this guy had robbed the Undying Sovereign's ancestral tombs before. It was already nice of him not to kill him. This guy was indeed unreliable. Wait, what's his name? Dandin? Ha 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 ha. The Titan Longhorn Beetle said and laughed crazily. Dandin? Eggy? Ha ha ha. Qingsong also laughed. Even the 9 Lives Demonic Silkworm couldn't help but laugh. As for Huangling, Longchun, and the others, they wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. You! Dandin was furious and stomped its feet. Many people around looked at them. Some of them recognized Qingsong, the Titan Longhorn Beetle, and the others, and were shocked. They were all the top 10 battle beasts in the ancient times, and now, many of them were gathered together. The 9-headed golden lion, the Titan Longhorn Beetle, the 9 Lives Demonic Silkworm, the Divine Turtle of the World, and the Space-Time Spirit Mouse. There were 5 of them. This is the Space-Time Spirit Mouse? So, back then, after laughing for a while, Qingsong looked at Bubbles and sighed. The Titan Longhorn Beetle and the 9 Lives Demonic Silkworm stopped laughing and looked a little sad. I was captured by the foreign races in the battle back then. I wonder how the others are doing. Qingsong asked. The battle back then was too tragic. The 9 Lives Demonic Silkworm and I were seriously injured and haven't recovered after so many years. The old turtle's injuries were even worse. You were captured, and only the 5-element Cheelant's injuries were better. He has been by the ancestral dragon side all these years. The Titan Longhorn Beetle sighed. The 9 dragons died in the primordial realm. The Holy Spirit Ant, the immortal heavenly phoenix, and the immemorial dragon-esque elephant all died. The space-time spirit mouse was even worse. Even her corpse was used by the foreign races. The 9 Lives Demonic Silkworm also sighed. Even the Dandin's eyes were a little sad. In ancient times, the top 10 battle beasts were so glorious. Although there were some conflicts and grudges between them back then, those grudges had long disappeared after the ancient war. Now, only the few of them were left. By the side, Lu Ming also secretly sighed. The more he knew, the more he could imagine how tragic the battle back then was. Too many experts had died in the battle. Even the powerful Hunyuan sect had almost been destroyed. During this period, Lu Ming learned from Tu-Yi, Lei-Yi, and the others. The Hunyuan sect had once ruled the Hunyuan heavenly domain in ancient times, and was extremely powerful. Under the Hunyuan sect, there were 9 great halls. For example, the Hunyuan sect was one of the 9 great halls. There was also the space-time spirit mouse of the previous generation was the hall master. Almost all of the hall masters of the 9 great halls were peak heavenly emperors, but the Chaos Emperor was the leader of the 9 great halls. And the Hunyuan sect's sect master was a terrifying figure, not weaker than the Chaos Emperor. Even such a powerful force had been annihilated in the battle back then. The 9 great hall masters and the Hunyuan sect's sect master all died in battle. Only the Chaos Hall still had some puppets left. As for the Hunyuan sect's headquarters, there were no experts left behind, only the formation spirit inside. The one who arranged for Lu Ming and the others to enter the Hunyuan sect's assessment was the formation spirit. He had already understood these things from Tui and the others. Everyone was chatting. At this time, thousands of people had gathered in the square. Suddenly, there was a flash of light from the mountain, and a few figures flew out. The person in the lead was Ancestral Gregon. Behind Ancestral Gregon followed a few people, and a few of them were the 5 elements Cheelants. The other one had an unfathomable aura, and was obviously an extremely terrifying expert. Ancestral Gregon flew out and stood in the air. His body emitted a supreme aura, and even the heavenly Tao was suppressed. Although most people had never seen Ancestral Gregon before, they all understood that this was Ancestral Gregon when they felt this aura. Greetings, Senior Ancestral Gregon. Thousands of people bowed respectfully. No need for formalities. Ancestral Gregon waved his hand, and everyone felt a force supporting them, allowing them to stand up. Even peak heavenly emperors found it difficult to resist. I believe you are all very curious why I suddenly summoned you here this time, right? Chapter 2461. Everyone was startled. Was the Ancestral Gregon finally going to tell them the purpose of gathering them? They were curious too. The Ancestral Gregon pondered for a moment and said, "There are a few aspects involved in this. Firstly, the existence that surpasses the Heavenly Emperor realm. Many people call my cultivation the Supreme Realm or the Ancestor Realm. In fact, this realm is called the Martial God Realm, the realm above the Martial Emperor realm." The Ancestral Gregon said, "Martial God." Many people were startled and their eyes lit up. It turned out that the realm above the Martial Emperor realm was the Martial God realm. God, divine spirit. So there really are divine spirits in this world. Especially Qing Tsong and the other peak heavenly emperors, their eyes were filled with yearning. They were already standing at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. The next step was to break through to the Martial God realm, surpassing the Heavenly Tao and not being bound by it. As the crowd's imagination ran wild, the Ancestral Gregon began to explain. In the ancient era, there were 4 martial gods in the Heavenly Realm and the Fiend God Realm. I, the owner of the Suppressing Prison Steel, am the ancestor of the Suppressing Prison Steel. There was also a divine ancestor of the foreign tribes. The last one was called Divine Ancestor Sha Xian. The 4 martial gods were divided into 2 factions. The ancestor and I were good friends, while Divine Ancestor Sha Xian and the foreign tribe's divine ancestor were together. They wanted to invade the heavenly realm and destroy the human race and the divine beasts. That was how the ancient war began. There were 2 martial gods on each side. The crowd was startled and listened attentively. They knew that they were about to learn some ancient secrets. The battle was extremely intense. The 4 of us fought for 100 years in the Dark Rift. In the end, the hell-crushing progenitor and the sacred ancestor killer heart perished together. The Ancestral Gregon continued. The people of the Suppressing Prison Steel were dejected. The foreign tribe's divine ancestor and I were both injured. Our origin force was injured, and even now, it has not recovered. We have been recuperating for the past few years. The foreign tribes did not dare to attack because they were wary of me. The Ancestral Gregon continued. The crowd came to a realization. Although the foreign tribe's overall strength was strong, it was normal that the martial gods did not have the upper hand. The Ancestral Gregon did not say why the foreign tribes attacked the heavenly realm. At this moment, Lu Ming thought of a problem. This was a question that he had always been perplexed about, but since Ancestral Gregon did not mention it, he did not ask. However, the situation has changed. Sacred Ancestor Sha Xian is still alive. Ancestral Gregon continued. What? Apart from Lu Ming and a few others, the rest of the people were shocked, their faces full of shock. Saint Ancestor Sha Xian was not dead? Didn't that mean the evil god realm had two martial gods? On the other hand, they only had a single martial god on their side. How were they supposed to fight them? If that was the case, the heaven realm would not be a match for the foreign races. The overall strength of the foreign tribes was already stronger than the heaven realm. With the addition of the two martial gods, wouldn't the heaven realm be destroyed? Some people's eyes were filled with despair. However, even though Saint Ancestor Sha Xian is still alive, he was severely injured in the battle against the Hellcrusher progenitor, leaving only a strand of his bloodline behind. This is related to what I'm about to tell you, the Yellow Spring Mountain. Ancestral Graygon continued. Yellow Springs Mountain? Many people were stunned. Yes, the Yellow Springs Mountain. I believe many of you have seen or heard of it. Outside Two World City, the space cracked and the Yellow Springs River appeared. At the end of the Yellow Springs River, there is a looming mountain. That is the Yellow Springs Mountain. The Yellow Springs Mountain is an extremely secretive place. Even I have never been there. Ancestral Graygon said. Everyone was shocked. As a martial god expert who had transcended the heavenly path, the Ancestral Graygon should be an invincible figure in the world. In the hearts of the people, he should be an omniscient figure. However, even the Ancestral Graygon had never been there. What kind of place was it? I have only read a few records from some extremely ancient books. Legend has it that the Yellow Springs Mountain is not from the heaven realm, the primordial realm, or the evil god realm. It is from beyond the heavens. Ancestral Graygon said, Beyond the heavens? Many people were dumbfounded. Beyond the heavens? What did that mean? Could there be other worlds apart from the primordial realm, the heaven realm, and the evil god realm? Beyond the heavens? Dandin whispered, frowning as if he knew something. Beyond the heavens? Bubbles whispered, her eyes filled with doubt. Bubbles, what do you know? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubbles. I don't know. Some images seem to appear in my mind, but I can't see them clearly, Bubbles said. Lu Ming was puzzled. Dandin glanced at Bubbles, but did not say anything. Senior, what's beyond the heavens? Someone could not help but ask. Beyond the heavens? Ancestral Graygon raised his head to look at the sky. A look of reminiscence flashed in his eyes. After a while, he said, It's a vast place. We'll talk about it later. Let's talk about the Yellow Springs Mountain first. Legend has it that the Yellow Springs Mountain is from beyond the heavens. It is extremely ancient and mysterious. Usually, it is shrouded in a layer of restriction. Even I can't enter. However, it's not impossible to enter forever. Legend has it that every 10,000 tribulations, the restriction of the Yellow Springs Mountain will be activated once. At that time, one can enter. Everyone was even more shocked. If even the Ancestral Graygon could not enter, who else could? Also, the 10,000 tribulations would be activated once. How long would the 10,000 tribulations be? Each tribulation was 333,333 years. Wouldn't the 10,000 tribulations be more than 3 billion years? Everyone looked at each other. According to the ancient records, the Yellow Springs Mountain is like a world of its own. It contains countless treasures. Treasures of the heavenly path weapon level can be seen everywhere. Some treasures even have heaven-defying effects. No matter how serious the injuries are, they can be healed very quickly. This time, the Yellow Springs Mountain is about to open. That's why there are so many strange phenomena. The foreign tribe's divine ancestor has been waiting for this opportunity. He wants to bring divine ancestor Sha Xian into the Yellow Springs Mountain to obtain opportunities. Not only will his injuries be healed, but divine ancestor Sha Xian's injuries will also be healed. If that's the case, we won't be able to stop them. That's why I've gathered all of you here this time to bring you into the Yellow Springs Mountain. First, you can stop the foreign tribe. Second, you can obtain opportunities yourself. If you can obtain the great opportunities inside, your cultivation base will probably improve by leaps and bounds. Ancestral Graygon explained. The crowd came to a realization. It turned out that this was the reason why the Ancestral Graygon had gathered them. stopping the foreign tribe so that they could obtain opportunities to improve their cultivation. Most of you are fortunate. You will have a higher chance of obtaining the fortunate encounters inside. However, I have to remind you that the Yellow Springs Mountain is extremely dangerous. This time, many of the foreign tribe's people will enter the mountain too. That's for sure. Besides, the Yellow Springs Mountain is boundless. According to the ancient records, its size is unimaginable. I'm afraid it's no smaller than the 9 heavens domain of the heaven realm combined. Besides, there are countless living beings in it, including humans and other tribes. They have established their own kingdoms and are extremely prosperous. There are even martial gods in it. Ancestral Gragon warned with a stern expression. What? Chapter 2462. Everyone was dumbfounded by the ancestral Gragon's words. The Yellow Spring Mountain was boundless. Its area was comparable to the 9 heavens domain of the heaven realm. It was filled with various living creatures that formed kingdoms. There were even martial god realm experts in each kingdom. This was too inconceivable. The inside of the Yellow Springs Mountain was like another heaven realm or evil god realm. However, don't worry. No living creature in the Yellow Spring Mountain, no matter how strong they are, even martial gods will not be able to come out. They will never be able to come out. Legend has it that the people of the Yellow Spring Mountain are cursed. They will be trapped in the Yellow Spring Mountain for generations to come. In fact, there are places in the Yellow Spring Mountain where the cursed living creatures are unable to enter. Only those who are not cursed can enter. Therefore, this is our chance. The ancestral Gragon continued to speak. Different thoughts crossed the minds of the crowd. Therefore, even though there are great fortunate encounters in the Yellow Spring Mountain, it's extremely dangerous too. Not only will we have to face the foreign tribes and fight them, we might even have to fight the living creatures in the Yellow Spring Mountain. Therefore, I won't force you. Those who want to leave can leave now. The ancestral Gragon's voice echoed across the place. However, no one left. According to the ancestral Gragon, the Yellow Spring Mountain came from beyond the heavens. It was extremely mysterious and had many treasures. Even martial gods had their eyes on it. Even the ancestral Gragon had never entered the mountain. It would only open once every 10,000 tribulations. Although it was accompanied by danger, since when was there no danger on the path of cultivation? Even if they did not enter the mountain, they would still die if the martial gods of the foreign tribes recovered and attacked the heaven realm. They might as well go in and risk their lives. All right, if that's the case, we'll go in, the ancestral Gragon announced. They couldn't bring too many people in. Otherwise, if they went in and the foreign races attacked, wouldn't they be finished? It was the same for the foreign tribes. They would not dare to send too many people in. However, you must remember a few things after entering the mountain. Firstly, kill any foreign tribes you see. Secondly, try your best to find places that the living creatures of the Yellow Spring Mountain can't enter. Those places have a high chance of having fortunate encounters. Third, remember to borrow power. Sometimes, you can borrow the power of the creatures in the Yellow Springs Mountain to kill the alien tribes. If you can borrow the power of the martial god realm experts in the Yellow Springs Mountain to kill the alien tribes Saint Ancestor and Saint Ancestor Shah Xin, you can protect the heaven realm. Ancestral Gragon seriously warned. Everyone nodded and agreed in unison. Of course, I've never been inside. All of this is what I've read from extremely ancient books. The 10,000 tribulations have already passed. I don't know what changes have happened inside Yellow Springs Mountain. Therefore, after entering, the most important thing is to act according to the circumstances. All right, Yellow Springs Mountain will open in a month's time. You can gather here in a month's time. I'm afraid it will take a long time before you come out. If you have anything to do, make the necessary arrangements. Ancestral Dragon instructed. Yes. Everyone accepted the order and left the place. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing left this place, intending to bid farewell to Li Ping and Lu Yuntian. This trip would take a long time, and if the ancestral Gragon said it would take a long time, then it must be true. Moreover, Lu Ming wouldn't miss this trip. Lu Ming wanted to improve quickly and cultivate step by step, but that wouldn't do. It was too slow. Moreover, The improvement of his cultivation required too many resources. The resources he had on him weren't enough for him to improve. This trip to Yellow Springs Mountain might be an opportunity. When they returned to Celestial City, they bid farewell to Li Ping and Lu Yuntian, saying that they would be going into seclusion for a period of time. Lu Shenhuang, Mu Wanxian, Lu Qi, and the others would stay in Celestial City to accompany Li Ping and the others. A month passed in a hurry. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing returned to the square in Lair of Zulong. Everyone was gathered again. Ancestral Gragon stood in the air. With a wave of his hand, a small boat emerged and then rapidly expanded. This is the heaven-piercing battleship? No, it's not the one with the primordial physique cultivators. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He found that the small boat that Ancestral Gragon took out was very similar to the heaven-piercing battleship used by the primordial physique cultivators in the past. It could float on the Yellow Springs River. The primordial physique cultivators once said that the heaven-piercing battleship was found in a ruin by their ancestors, a treasure that can withstand the water of the Yellow Springs. Could it be from Yellow Springs Mountain? Lu Ming thought. This ship is called the heaven-piercing battleship. All of you, get on. If you want to enter Yellow Springs Mountain, you must use this treasure to cross the Yellow Springs River. Ancestral Gragon said, yes. Immediately, thousands of people rose into the air and flew toward the battleship. It's really called the heaven-piercing battleship? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He took Xian Yanqing's little hand and flew toward the heaven-piercing battleship. The heaven-piercing battleship was very large. Thousands of people could only occupy a small space. After everyone entered the heaven-piercing battleship, it quickly shrank and was put away by Ancestral Gragon. Then, Ancestral Gragon took a step and disappeared from the lair of Zulong. The next moment, the space outside the battlefield of Two World City trembled, and Ancestral Gragon's figure appeared. His speed was incredible. Moke! Ancestral Gragon looked ahead. The space in front of him trembled, and a figure appeared. It was the divine ancestor of the other tribes. Moke? Ancestral Gragon, this time, you will definitely lose. Sha Xian and I will recover in Yellow Springs Mountain, and then we will take your head. Imoku, the outsider's sacred ancestor, said coldly, let's see who will have the last laugh. Ancestral Gragon replied coldly. He took a step forward and rushed into the space crack. When he arrived above the Yellow Springs River, he waved his hand. The heaven-piercing battleship rapidly enlarged and landed on the Yellow Springs River. Ancestral Gragon landed on the deck of the heaven-piercing battleship. At the same time, the divine ancestor of the other tribes also entered the Yellow Springs River. He took out a battleship that was very similar to the heaven-piercing battleship and landed on the Yellow Springs River. The two battleships moved side by side toward the front of the Yellow Springs River. The experts of both sides sized each other up, and sparks flew when they clashed. The first prince, Kongduo, Lu Ming saw a few extremely talented people on the longevity roll of the other tribes on the alien tribe's battleship. The top few on the longevity roll of the other tribes were all there. Clearly, the divine ancestor of the other tribes had the same idea as Ancestral Gragon. He chose those who entered Yellow Springs Mountain not based on their cultivation, but on their luck. The stronger the luck, the more likely they would be able to obtain fortuitous encounters and even kill their opponents. The two sides did not make a move. If they did, both sides would be injured. No one was confident in winning. The two battleships continued to move forward. In front of the Yellow Springs River was a looming mountain that seemed incomparably far away. They had been traveling for 3 months, but they still had not reached the end of the Yellow Springs River. Moreover, the mountain was still in front of them, and they did not know how far it was. Soon, at that moment, Ancestral Gragon spoke. Everyone was shocked. Were they finally there? Look, the mountain is gone. Oh no, there's a vortex in front. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. In front of them, the mountain was gone, and in its place was a huge vortex. All the water of the Yellow Springs flowed into the vortex. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.